So tactical breathing, firstly, what is it? It's just a breathing method used during stressful situations or environments, and it's used to control your breathing and lower your stress. So another term for it, you'll typically hear it called box breathing. And the way that you do it is that you're using sort of a shape of a box, and each side of that box is a 4 count, so a 4-second count. So as you go up, you're breathing in for 4 seconds, you're holding for 4 seconds, you're breathing out for 4 seconds, and you're holding for 4 seconds. So you keep rotating through this box for those timings for each phase of the breath, and you will find it lowers your stress and enables you to deal with the situation a lot better. So very, very simple method. It's used for many, many different situations, which I'm going to go over a couple here, but it's essentially called box breathing for the fact that you are doing even sides with each phase of the breath, with 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold. Okay, so why do we use it? So overall, it lowers your stress. When you are stressed, that is your sympathetic nervous system heightened. So your fight or flight response is kicking in. And we want to try to lower that and take ourselves away from that stressful situation or that stressful reaction that our body is having, and try to sort of bring it back to more of a restful state where our parasympathetic system is starting to take over. Because in this environment, in this way that our body works, we can make decisions better. So you think of when something very stressful happens, what happens straight away? You tense up, your breathing goes a little bit out of control. You're not able to make decisions. You're trying to do things really quickly. Sometimes they're the wrong decisions that you make. You can't do things properly because you start to shake, or you just start to make these weird movements and you haven't got full control over certain things that you're doing. It does have benefit going into that type of state with your body, with that type of stress. Obviously, to get away from something, to fight something away, you want to be reacting that in that way. But then there comes a time where we need to get rid of it and we need to make better decisions. We need to be able to control ourselves a little bit better. And that comes with lowering that stress and pulling ourselves out of that parasympathetic state and moving us more in, pulling ourselves away from that sympathetic state and bring ourselves more into the parasympathetic state so that we can make better decisions and try to achieve the mission in a better way. So it lowers your stress overall. It allows you to make better decisions. It conserves energy as well, because think when you're in that stressed out fight or flight response, you're very tense, your heart rate's going. Think of all the things that are happening. Your breath starts to go. All these things require energy. So there's a lot of energy output happening at that time. So if we're in that state for a very long period, then we're going to be using up a whole heap of energy that we don't need to be using. So it's going to be exhausting. We're going to go through energy stores very quickly. So pulling ourselves out of that state as quick as we can when we don't need it and when it's not required anymore will also conserve your energy. So you got better body control as well when you start to come out of that state. Yes, when you're in that fight or flight state, yes, you can react better. You're probably stronger in that sort of state. But there comes a time where you may need to use fine motor controls. So think of the tactical environment when you have to bring up your weapon, have a line of sight, and it may be a target 300 plus meters away, and you need to have fine motor control, better breathing, so you're not panting, you've got better control over your weapon, and you're not shaking around all over the place, because that target's going to be very small in your scope, and you may need to make those small adjustments to be able to hit the target. And another thing that's very beneficial of this is improved recovery. So think of when you're going in and you're doing a very big workout, like a very hard workout, that is stress on your body. Your body goes into that sympathetic state. It's in the fight or flight response. That's what happens when you go in and you do a hard workout. Your heart pumps more, your breathing goes quicker and harder, and everything is ready to go pretty much. Now, when we finish that session, we don't need that reaction, that state to be in. What we want to do is we want to take ourselves out of that state very quickly so that then we can recover much quicker from whatever that stress was, that workout or anything that's been happening. If we stay in that sympathetic state, that fight or flight response, then it delays our recovery time. Our body doesn't start to recover once we get out of that. So our energy is being used for this right here, right now, what's going on. I need to react to this thing. Whereas when we pull ourselves away from that, we can relax. Our body can relax. It can come out of that fight or flight response. And now it can use that energy for recovery purposes rather than needing it right now. Okay. So you can see how that'd be very useful within training, within like just not just workouts, but maybe certain missions that you go off. Like there may be like if you're familiar with the foreign movement, when you get contacted, that is a very, very stressful environment. You are moving quickly, you are taking side pictures, everything is reacting right now. Once that calms down, once that firefight is over, you don't want to delay your recovery. You don't want to be stuck in that fight or flight response and just be burning up heaps of energy and still be super stressed out. That's when you can go through this tactical breathing and can try to bring yourself out of it as best as you can. Okay, so times that we can actually use this, like a very good times that we can practice and apply this. So to start with, to apply it, it can be any sort of stressful situation. It doesn't have to be in a tactical environment. It can simply be a stressful time at work. Even just going to work for some people is stressful. Certain situations with relationships, at home time with kids and family. There are all these stressful situations, these stressful times that you will find yourself starting to get heightened. If you can pull yourself away from that environment and practice this tactical breathing or box breathing, you will find you'll be better off making decisions once you've lowered that heightened stress that stressful state that you're in. You'll make much better decisions at work, to the family, to the whatever is going on with your partner, with a relationship. All those situations will benefit from you pulling yourself out of that fight or flight response and more into the parasympathetic, more recovered, lowered stress state so that you can make better decisions. You can react to those situations better. Okay, so recovery from training, massive component a lot of people miss. This can just take a few minutes after training. And if anything else, this is what you should focus on after your training to kickstart the recovery process. I like putting stretching at the end of my training sessions, any workouts that I prescribe for people. And a lot of time, it's not there to create any more flexibility in the body. It's actually there to help you calm down, to pull yourself out of that sympathetic state, out of that fight or flight response, so that you can recover quicker. It's going to calm the nervous system down and calm the body down. So just spending a couple of minutes, even lying on your back and practicing this box breathing or tactical breathing will take your body into the recovery state a hell of a lot quicker than if you leave the gym when you're still heightened. You get into a car, driving to work, you are heightened. Driving a car is one of the most stressful things that you can do. That's why people got road rage all the time, so quick over tiny little things. Like this guy just got a little bit in front of me. Yeah, you bastard. Stupid little stuff that you normally wouldn't react to. It's because you're so heightened during that time and you don't make better decisions then. So you've driven away from the gym. You're still in this heightened state. You get to work now. You do 8 hours worth of work plus for some people, and you're still in this heightened state. It's not until you get home and you can relax that you start to kickstart the recovery process. So that couple of minutes that you can have after your training session to just calm yourself down and try to bring that stress state back down into a recovery state, then it's going to benefit you in more ways than one. Okay. And as I said before, at home with kids. So the way that you can practice it, is just get yourself a timer. Start off with, if you're someone that really struggles with focus, and this is a great focus tool as well. It allows you to just blank everything out, concentrate on breathing and focus in on that, in on the moment that you're in right now. So just spend 3 minutes. If you can't make 3 minutes, spend 1 minute to start with, and just build this up over time until you can spend a few minutes to 5 minutes on this sort of thing, just concentrating on that box breathing. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold. Just rotating through as much as you can, and then as much as you can sustain to a certain extent. Obviously, we don't need to be sitting there for 10 minutes at a time practicing this sort of stuff. You will get a hell of a lot of benefit out of just doing a few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes sort of thing with it. Okay, even lesser if you've got less time. All right. So another times that we can do this and we can practice it is very first thing in the morning. We want to set our day, have control over that first part of the day. I'm bad for this, picking up my phone and checking certain things on my phone, checking messages, checking certain performance metrics, all these sort of things on my phone straight away in the morning. And this can be problematic because what does that do? Instantly do in that sympathetic state, that heightened response to stress, no matter what you're doing. Even if you're just flicking through some Instagram, oh, that guy's doing a really good holiday, wish I was doing that. Instantly, you're putting yourself into that sort of stressful state. So having control over your morning, getting rid of the phone, getting up and doing some box breathing, some tactical breathing will set your day much better than picking up the phone and checking out what's going on social media or other things that are going on there. Okay, so how do we know if it's working? How do we know if we're actually doing it correctly? Well, the very first thing is you will feel better. It's a feeling of clarity and calmness. So especially when you just spend that little bit of time just focusing on body awareness, breathing, and taking everything else away, all of the environment away. That's all we want to be focusing on. Okay. It's good to just think about your breathing, how it feels, the timing that you're doing. And there are lots of guided times for the time, like guided apps that you can use for this as well, where it will play music and it will give you the timing to breathe in, hold, breathe out. You can easily find them online. You'll find something called box breathing, some sort of app on that. You'll find straight away that, after you have spent a little bit of time in there and you feel your nervous system start to drop, you will have better control over your body as well. As I was talking about before, those fine motor skills, they start to go when you are stressed and you're in that heightened response. If you've done anything with weapons before, you will notice, again, back on weapons is a huge one with this, but or even just anything that requires fine motor skills. If you're trying to load your weapon, if you're trying to strip it, or whatever you're doing, when you're practicing this, a lot of the times the instructors will be yelling at you and trying to stress you out, because that's when you start to lose control of things and you need to learn the skill to actually lower your stress, calm yourself down, because then you regain control and you're able to do things a lot quicker. We've got this saying in the army, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And that goes off all of this concept, okay? Controlling what you're doing and lowering that stress, okay? So we're looking at that feeling of clarity and calmness. We've got more control over our body and awareness. But a big thing that you can actually track and you can look at as a quantifiable metric is your heart rate. So if you finish a workout, this would be a perfect time to be doing it. You'll finish a workout, no matter what you're doing, strength, cardio, doesn't really matter. Your heart rate will be elevated due to the stress of the training and everything that I've been talking about. Now, if you spend 2-3 minutes after your session going through this box breathing, don't even look at your heart rate, or you can monitor it. You can look at it. I actually like to look when I'm doing these sort of things. I like to monitor and look at my heart rate because you can control it. you can watch it lowering more and more and more and dropping down lower and lower. And it's good practice to try to bring it back down to at least close to where your normal resting heart rate is. You probably won't get it completely down to where your regular walking around resting heart rate. I'm not talking about, laying in bed sort of resting heart rate, but you're just your normal resting heart rate that you'd have generally sitting around. After your training session, try to get it as close to that. And that's your indicator that you can leave the gym now. Really good tool to use. And then that way you'll know you've lowered your stress by a hell of a lot and you're down into that recovery state now. And you've kickstarted the recovery process and you're going to recover a lot quicker. And you can even monitor it and have a look and see what the difference is between you just leaving the gym, jumping in your car, monitor your heart rate as you're going. And by the time you get to work or home, see what your heart rate is still sitting at compared to if you spend those few minutes after your training session lowering your nervous system and bring your heart rate down to close as possible to your resting heart rate. And you'll jump in your car, your heart rate will be lower. You'll go about your day and your heart rate will be lower. Okay, so that's a run through of tactical breathing, what it is, why we use it, how to apply it, and monitor it over time. Good luck with it.